The clock ticked relentlessly, each second echoing the frantic beat of his heart. Outside, the relentless St. Petersburg summer shimmered, oblivious to the turmoil raging inside the tiny apartment. Here, in this claustrophobic space, the air thick with anticipation, sat Rodion Raskolnikov, a young man wrestling with a choice that would alter the course of his life forever. Why do I need money? He pondered, staring at the floor, his eyes hollow with fatigue. Money, a means to survival, had transformed into a symbol of moral corruption. Could he, a man grappling with poverty and pride, stoop to taking another's life for material gain? The question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. And so the night wore on, the ticking clock amplifying his internal struggle until dawn broke, bringing with it a decision that was both terrifying and liberating. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to delve into the chilling narrative of crime and punishment. As the sun peeked through the window, painting thin stripes on the warm furniture, Rodion Raskolnikov emerged from his room. His face, pale and drawn, bore the marks of sleepless nights spent grappling with a dangerous idea. It was an idea that had taken root in his poverty-stricken mind, whispering promises of liberation and dooming him towards untold horrors. His world was one of crushing poverty and stifling routine. Every day he navigated the chaotic streets of St. Petersburg, dodging beggars and hawkers, his stomach growling in protest against the gnawing hunger that never quite left him. Amidst this bleak reality, he found fleeting moments of solace in books, devouring stories of daring adventures and grand passions that offered a stark contrast to his humdrum existence. Yet even these literary escapes couldn't quell the restlessness that churned within him. For Radisson understood that his life, devoid of purpose and meaning, was teetering on the edge of despair. Driven by desperation, he took a room in one of St. Petersburg's dilapidated apartment buildings. It was here, in a stuffy, dimly lit room, that the whispers of his monstrous idea began to take shape. The idea revolved around a chilling proposition. Could a person be driven to commit murder without being held morally accountable? It was a thought that sent shivers down his spine, yet couldn't be ignored. And so he found himself trapped in an internal labyrinth, torn between the suffocating grip of poverty and the terrifying allure of a life-altering crime. As the weeks passed, the line between sanity and madness blurred. His thoughts became a tangled mess, his actions erratic and unpredictable. Raskolnikov started spending his days in dingy taverns, drowning out the clamor of his thoughts in cheap vodka. At night, he returned to his room, haunted by visions that danced on his chamber walls, each shadow whispering doubts, each creak echoing accusations. His reflection in the cracked mirror seemed like a stranger, his eyes vacant, his face haggard. One evening, as darkness blanketed the city, Raskolnikov stumbled upon a pawnbroker's shop. Its windows, dusty and grimy, reflected a distorted image of the moonless sky. Above the door, the name Ivanovna was scrawled in faded paint. It was here that Raskolnikov's fate took a sinister turn. For this pawnbroker was Alyona Ivanovna, an old miserly woman whose name was synonymous with cruelty in the neighborhood. Her shop, a testament to her greed, was filled to the brim with pawned items, each bearing silent witness to the desperation of those who sought her services. As Raskolnikov stepped inside, the bell above the door jingled, breaking the silence and announcing his arrival. In the dim oil lamp light, he saw Alyona Ivanovna seated behind the counter, her sharp eyes scanning him like a seasoned judge assessing a guilty defendant. The air hung heavy with unspoken tension, a prelude to the events that would soon unfold. This chance encounter was merely a prologue, a setup for a tragedy that would entrap Raskolnikov in a web of deceit, guilt, and unimaginable suffering. Raskolnikov's obsession with Alyona Ivanovna grew, feeding his morbid fascination with his potential crime. Her very existence represented everything he despised: exploitation, greed, and the ruthless pursuit of self-interest. Each time he passed by her shop, he felt a surge of loathing mixed with morbid curiosity. It was during one of these walks that Raskolnikov decided on the day of the murder. July was to be the day, the hottest month of the year, when the sun beat down on the city relentlessly, mirroring the inferno that was brewing within him. With his plan solidified, Raskolnikov prepared for his gruesome task. He knew that his act would be seen as brutal and unforgivable, but he was driven by a twisted sense of justification. In his mind, he was ridding the world of a useless, exploitative individual. It was an act of cleansing, a purging of society's ills. But little did he know that this supposed act of purification would only plunge him into a deeper abyss of guilt and torment. In the days leading up to July, Raskolnikov experienced a strange mix of emotions. There were times when he felt a surge of excitement, a rush of adrenaline at the thought of what he was about to do. Yet there were also moments when fear and doubt gripped him, paralyzing him with the immensity of his plan. He grappled with visions of his own funeral, heard whispers of his infamy echoing through the streets, saw faces contorted with hatred and disgust. As the fateful day approached, so did his descent into madness. On the morning of July, Raskolnikov woke up with a start. The sun streaming through the window seemed to mock him with its innocence. He dressed quickly, his hands shaking, and walked out into the bustling city. The sounds of everyday life, the laughter of children, the chatter of vendors, grated on his nerves. Everything seemed charged with a sinister undertone. He made his way to Elena Ivanovna's shop, his steps heavy and slow. Each step brought him closer to his fate, sealing his destiny as a murderer. Upon reaching the familiar building, he paused, his heart pounding in his chest. In that moment of hesitation, he could turn back, could escape the clutches of his own making. But he didn't. Instead, he climbed the creaky stairs, ascended to Elena Ivanovna's flat, and knocked on the door that would become the gateway to his personal hell. When Elena Ivanovna opened the door, she was clad in a worn black dress, her hair in a messy bun, her face etched with age and avarice. Her piercing gaze swept over Raskolnikov, sizing him up like a seasoned predator assessing its prey. Without a word, she beckoned for him to enter. As Raskolnikov stepped inside, he was met with the stench of stale waste and decay. The room was cramped, cluttered, and oppressive, a perfect reflection of its owner's soul. Anya Ivanovna settled back into her chair, her eyes never leaving Raskolnikov's face. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, broken only by the ticking of a nearby clock. Finally, she spoke, her voice raspy and sharp as shards of glass. "What do you want?" she asked, her tone brooking no pleasantries. Raskolnikov's voice, though, was steady, betraying none of the turmoil raging within him. "I've come to pawn something," he replied, holding out a silver watch. The watch gleamed in the dim light, an emblem of value in a room filled with tarnished relics. Elena Ivanovna took the watch, her fingers gnarled and cold, and examined it with practiced ease. She turned it over in her hands, weighing its worth like a connoisseur appraising a priceless artifact. As she did, Raskolnikov's mind raced. His pulse quickened, his breath shallow. He knew that in this room, amidst the clutter and decay, he was about to cross the threshold of no return. And there you have it, dear viewers, the gripping prelude to Fyodor Dostoevsky's haunting tale of murder, guilt, and redemption. We've journeyed with Raskolnikov from his suffocating existence into the labyrinth of his own making. Stay tuned for more updates where we'll delve deeper into the harrowing consequences of Raskolnikov's choices. Until then, let the weight of his impending actions echo in your thoughts, for in this tale, the path to damnation is often paved with the best of intentions. Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to show your support. Your engagement fuels our journey. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the depths of human experience with us.